not even need Bauer's game for me.
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back here today for another game review. Today we're excited to check out Fleecing Olympus from Passport Game Studios. This is for 3 to 6 players, take about 30 to 45 minutes to play, and it's for ages 14 plus. And in Fleecing Olympus, you're going to be playing as a god, and you have 20 gems, and you're going to try to have the most gems at the end of the game by manipulating, by negotiating, by getting lucky on dice rolls, by trying to stay on people's good sides, and bribing people, and doing all sorts of stuff like that. In this very fast-paced, incredibly frantic game about laying down cards to manipulate a set of dice that are on the table. It's a very different, very unique game, but is it very good? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alright then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Fleecing Olympics. First and foremost, we have a handy-dandy rule booklet. 18 pages, double-sided, full color. It's got some pictures, some illustrations, some examples. And overall, it's very well done. It's actually a little bit longer than you might want it to be. That's because they have a really in-depth FAQ. And yeah, so big fan of that. All the questions you might have are answered here in the back. So big thumbs up for them doing that, even though they could have saved a lot of space by not putting all these coins here. But hey, whatever. Big thumbs up in the rule booklet. So in Fleecing Olympus, you're going to be playing as a god. And you have a whole bunch of different gods in the game. And each of the gods is going to have an odd power and an even power. So each one is going to have 2 different powers that you'll be using throughout the game. So everyone's going to get one of these gods. Everyone's going to get one of these dividers right here, which is just going to keep your gems hidden. You're going to have 20 gems at the beginning of the game hidden behind there. So everyone's going to have 20 gems. You're going to set all the rest of the gems off to the side. And then your goal is to have the most gems at the end of the game, which will be when this deck of cards runs out or when this deck of cards runs out twice, depending on the player count. How are you going to do that? Well, it is a fast-paced, frantic game of laying cards after someone rolls dice. But let's go over the components. Let's get into the gameplay, and quickly you'll figure out what's going on here. So first and foremost, you're going to decide who is the god that is in charge. This is going to pass left around the table, and that god is going to decide whether or not they're going to be using their odd power or whether or not they're going to be using their even power. So I'll take Hermes here, for example. If I chose his odd power, I can discard one of my cards, and you're going to have 5 cards in your hand most of the time. If you do, you may play cards for free this turn. Now, why is that important? Because normally, during the card playing time, you're going to play 1 card down for free, but then after that, it's going to cost you 1 gem each time you want to play a card and putting it into the bank. So, my other ability, pay up to 2 gems to the bank, draw cards equal to the number of gems paid in this way. So this one's going to let me get more cards, which might be good depending on the situation. So for right now, I'm just going to go with odd, and I'm going to flip this to the odd side. Now, someone else is also going to have to be the passer of judgment. They'll have this token right here. They have a special ability, which means they will be able to stop the card playing round after at least 1 card has been played. That will make more sense later, but normally this gets passed around the table, and it's whoever had to pay gems last to someone else, because someone is always going to be paying gems to someone else each round in this game. And I'll explain that a little bit more later. Last but not least, we have the cards. There's a whole variety of different cards. There's 4 main types of cards. There's Destiny cards, there is Greed cards, and then there's the 2 fancy-dancy ones, which one can only be played at a time. It's Legend cards and, what is it? I think it's Legend cards and Fate cards. And if Legend cards are played, then you can't play Fate cards. And if Fate cards are played, you can't play Legend cards. Sometimes it will happen. You'll screw up and that'll happen. It's not a huge deal, but it is something that you have to try to be cognizant of. Last, you're going to have these really nice looking D6 dice. So let's show you how the actual game is played, and we're just going to go ahead and do a round of it. So I've decided that I'm Hermes, and this is going to be an odd round. I'm the god, I'm the main god, so now I'm going to roll the dice. And luckily for me, it is odd. These dice total 9, which means we are going to be doing an odd phase. Oh, and I'm supposed to discard 1 card, so I would discard, let's see. Yeah, I'll just discard this card right here. So I discarded 1 card. Now, what does this odd number mean? Well, this means that since I was correct, I am going to get $6, which is the higher number of these 2, from whoever I decided to attack. So let's just say I attacked Hades over here. I attacked him. So he right now would owe me $6. Now, what would have happened if it would have been even? Well, let's pretend that it was even. If it was an 8, then Hades I would be paying Hades the lower value, so 3. So if you are correct as the god, you're going to get the higher number. If you're incorrect as the god, you are going to owe the lower number. But now that I've rolled the dice, we move to what is called the all players play cards phase, which means that, and this is fast, this is frantic, this is hectic, we're going to start playing down cards. And how this works is the first person to play down a card, that is the card that takes effect. So I'm going to be like, all right, +2, Lackeys of Lots. And so it's Fate. So now other people cannot play Destiny cards. And someone else might be like, let's see, I'm going to be Pandora's Box. So we're going to flip this odd token over to even, and you keep it. So now I'm down money, and I'm like, oh, no. I don't want this to happen. I don't want this to happen. Now, at this point, since this guy is actually the one with the judgment token, he would just immediately say, stop, because he's getting paid cash, he's getting paid $5. Or he might try to play, another card that's going to give him more money. That's why you probably never really want to attack the person with the judgment token, but there are cards that can steal the judgment token from somebody. There's cards that are going to flip this. There's cards that will allow you to re-roll the dice. But where the game really gets interesting is the fact that it encourages you in the rule booklet, and I wholeheartedly agree. It's all about negotiation. It's all about wheeling and dealing and say, hey, oh, you don't like those dice? You give me $3, I can roll those dice. And how it works is every agreement you make is binding. So they have to follow through to the best of their ability on something they say they're going to do, as long as it is in this round. If they say, oh, I can help you out in the future, they don't necessarily have to hold their end of the bargain there. But for this round, they have to do what you're going to say. Now, another thing I want to mention is the bank. So you get your first card, you get to play it free, but if you play any additional cards, you have to pay 1 gem to the bank, and there will be a whole bunch of cards that will allow you to steal money from the bank and manipulate money from the bank, and that is another really valid strategy in order to get money. So this guy ended the round, though, and he said, we're done. I would have to pay $2 plus, I think there was a +2. I would have to pay 4 gems to Hades over here, so I'd give him the 4 gems. This would pass 1 space to the left. This would go to me now, since I was actually the one that had to pay money, and then this person over here would decide whether or not they're going to use their odd or their even ability. Oh, one last thing, you also always draw back up to 5 cards. So if you're spending and burning through a lot of cards, that will really speed up the progression of the game, because once everybody cannot draw back up to 5 cards, that will be the end of the game. You'll total up who has the most gems. Whoever has the most gems will be the winner of Fleecing Olympus. And that, in a nutshell, is how the game is played. Alright then, Fleecing Olympics from Passport Game Studios. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. First and foremost, I liked it best at the higher player count. So I still thought it was good at 3 players. I thought it was great at 4 players, really great at 5 players, and just absolutely fantastic at 6 players. But you need to know that if you're looking at this primarily as a 3-player game, you're not going to get as much out of it as you are as a 4, 5, and 6-player game. Also with that, if you do not negotiate in this game, and if you are not bribing, and if you're not doing that sort of thing, this game is going to get slow, and this game is going to get somewhat boring. Now, I have not had a game like that, because I'm all about negotiating and wheeling and dealing, but I could easily see that happening. This game is all about the art of the deal, and trying to convince other people to re-roll dice, or do this, or do that, by bribing them and paying them. And why that also slows down the game a lot is because if you're not using those cards, it's going to make the game take longer. It says 30 to 45 minutes on the box. We had one of these games knocked out in about 20 to 25 minutes just because we were spending so many cards. We're negotiating so much. Now, one of the biggest cons that I have with this game, that I think a lot of people are, not me personally, is that it's very light and it's very simple, and it's all about just the card play. You're just going to be rolling dice on a turn, declaring an attacker, rolling dice, and then playing down cards. That is it. It's a very straightforward game, and there might be some rounds where you're not even really involved in anything, unless, of course, you're negotiating. So that is something that you need to take into account. Now, the biggest con that I think a lot of people are going to have with this game, and I know some people are going to hate this game for this exact reason, is the fact that it is incredibly frantic when you are playing it the right way, which they even say in the rules that's probably the best way to do it. Because it is just wild west. People trying to lay down cards as fast as humanly possible, and it'll get to the point where you'll just know the name of the cards, like, oh, that just flips over the token, or that does this. It's be like, I'm playing this, I'm playing that. No, I'm playing this +2. No, playing that. Oh, that's a feat. Can't do that. Playing Destiny. $3, and I'll roll that dice. $3, $2. No, I have to pay $1 just to do this. $3, and then it's like, oh, I'm just stealing stuff from the bank. Don't mind me. And it's really fast, and it's nuts. And then somebody, like, all of a sudden, like the person with the judgment could be like, all right, you give me $3, and I'm going to give you $5, and they'll be like, +2 Destiny, done. And it's really intense, and it's really frantic, and being involved in it is super fun. Like, when you're one of the person either attacking, owing money, or about to be the person who's getting money, it's really nuts, because it's like, all right, do I want to bump the money up, knowing that someone else might potentially screw with the dice roll or screw with the token that I'm using, and that's super fun. But then also being able to be an outsider with that judgment token, like, you have so much power with that judgment token, because the round does not end until either A, everybody passes, which I've never seen happen, or B, somebody's like, we're done, pass. And normally it will end in what could feel like a cheap way to a certain degree, with someone just saying, +2, done, we're done. And that will be a turn off some people. Some people are absolutely not going to like the fast, frantic nature of this game. Chaotic, one might even say. I would even say, yeah. Last con I have with this game is that I feel like some of the player powers are better than others. Like, there's some characters that are like, yeah, I'd really never want to be this character again, whereas some of them are like, ooh, yeah, I would always want to pick, maybe this character or that character. I don't feel like there's one that's like way better than everybody else, but I feel like there's tiers to it, which, kind of mixes up the balance a little bit. It's not a huge deal, but it is something that I did want to know. That's what I got on the con side. Moving on to the pros, Fleecing Olympus might just be one of my surprise hits of Gen Con 2018. This game is freaking great, and I love this game for what it does so different. So let's just start by saying this is a really simple game. This is just a game where one person each round is going to choose one of their 2 special abilities. They're going to decide, hey, I'm attacking you, and then they're going to roll dice. And depending on what the dice say, one person is going to owe someone else money. And then you play down some cards, and somebody owes somebody money, and then you rinse, wash, repeat. You do that over and over and over again. In theory, it should be repetitive. In theory, it should be just not much of a game. But in practice, it works so well, because there's a decent variety of cards. I would like to see more cards, and I hope in the future they add some more cards. But it's all just about that middle part right there. That is the interesting part of this game. All the negotiation, all the talking, especially at 6 players. Because at 6 players, it's like you might be talking to this person might be talking to that person. One other person is just waiting for that bank to fill up so they can just whoosh, swoop in there and take the cash. You might be like about to steal the judgment token or about to flip the thing. And it's just nuts and chaotic and really fun. And I have not played a game that I can think of that really recreates that phase of this game. I can't think of another game like that. And if there is, let me know in the comments below, because I absolutely would love to try that game as well, because I love the chaos of this game. But that's my favorite aspect of the game. There's also a good deal of heroes. I think there's more heroes than you really need. I think it goes up to 6 players, and I think there's like 8 or 9 heroes, so they do have a little bit of variability, and you are going to want to try out the different heroes and try out the different powers. The different powers can impact the round. I like that aspect of the game. Easy to learn, easy to teach, cool mechanisms, and as long as you have a group that does not mind yelling at each other and trying to bribe each other and negotiating all on the fly, all very quick, all very loud and progressively louder as you're trying to get even louder and talk over other people, then I think you're really going to enjoy Fleecing Olympus. I know I did. I know this is going to be in my collection for a very long time. And this is like, it's such a small box game. I feel like this is one of those games that I hope does not fly under the radar, because this is one of those games that you can, you'll put your big games in there, like your Everdales and your Masters of the Galaxy, your Ticket to Ride. You got those big box games in there, but then you always throw in some small box games when you go to game night. And I feel like this is going to be one of those games that I'm routinely throwing in there just because of how different it is. A nice player count going up to 6 players. That is Fleecing Olympus from Passport Game Studios. Go check this one out, because I want an expansion, and if you guys don't check it out, we all don't get an expansion. I think if you like chaos to a certain degree, I think you're really going to enjoy this game. So that is Fleecing Olympus from Passport Game Studios. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on that subscribe button down below and in the comments below. Let me know. Can you think of another game that has a phase that is just absolute chaos, whether that be negotiation or whether that be dexterity. Because I really enjoyed this phase of that game, and I'd love to try out some more. Let me know if you can think of another one. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.